take one. Julia?
Yep, mark it.
Buchanan, 201, take one. And Lainey, you just say your name and
Yeah.
who you're with?
Lainey Louie with eTalk CTV.
So here's Lainey.
Okay, Jared.
Hi.
Hi. Supernatural. A lot of fans are sort of sitting on the edge of their seats. We want to know about the memories of hell
Oh yeah. Okay.
and how Sam's memories of hell are going to affect his relationship with Dean and ultimately inform his purpose or his motivation this season.
Sure. Well, I think now that Sam has his soul back and Death has put this wall up in his head to protect him from his year of kind of being a straight A jerk. There's obviously that weird oxymoron or the weird paradox, I suppose, of Sam really wants to know what happened. He really feels like it can help his hunting, help his brother, help their cause if he remembers this information from Samuel and from the Campbells. From the flip side, he doesn't want to remember hell, and since that's somewhere kind of jumbled in the collage of memories, it's very risky. And so we sort of see Sam struggle with these memories and have these sort of weird, strange deja vu flashbacks, almost of like, hey, have we been here before? And Dean sort of go, no, it's fine. And Sam kind of just oblivious, just naive, nothing malicious or else. But it's gonna affect the relationship, obviously, because Dean was not with Sam for that year, and Dean is reticent as well about Sam looking into his past. And Death has said, it could give him basically a seizure, and he could be a vegetable if he finds out too much, and if he remembers hell. And so Dean's really cautious in saying, like, breathe, take it easy, like don't really delve into your past, otherwise something very bad could happen.
Are there any more weapons of God, and are they going to make an impact on the civil war that's raging in heaven between Castiel and Raphael?
There are several more weapons of God that we sort of gradually find out about. And even right now, we're currently shooting towards the end of the season, and we're still only finding out more and more about Castiel and his struggles, and Balthazar and Raphael. Okay. But we do find out that Cass is kind of calling on some things maybe he even shouldn't be calling on to help his cause, and ultimately his intentions are good, but as we've kind of played with for 6 seasons on Supernatural, the road to hell is paved with good intentions. So we see Cass as an angel struggling with, do I use this? Is this proper? Am I being power hungry? Why do I want to use this? Is this really for a good cause? Am I being altruistic, or am I being power hungry? And so we see this wonderful internal struggle of Cass. And the boys are sort of caught up in the middle because we have our own sort of goals with getting rid of the mother of all monsters.
Right.
And, like, we have our hands full down here, and we're calling on Cass, who has his hands full. So it's this weird sort of collision of we each have such a strong purpose, but they're kind of not linked. So it's just nice to see how the boys all team up.
Let's talk about Balthazar. What are his motivations? Do we ever find that out? Particularly towards the end, the second half of season 6.
We do. We get some more about Balthazar, and it's really a joy. I love Sebastian, the actor, and he's very clever and very quippy, and he plays the part perfectly. But beyond that, we find out more about Balthazar and his relationship with both Castiel and with Raphael and with the angels in general. And we get this sense of kind of this, like this Han Solo of an angel. Kind of like, I do what I do, and I like what I like, and I'm a free spirit.
He's rogue.
Yeah, he is. He's rogue. He doesn't want to stir the pot too much. Yeah. But if he sees someone else stirring the pot, then he kind of wants to mix that. And so Balthazar has this struggle of, well, I kind of side with Cass right now, but am I hurting myself? Is Raphael going to come after me, or is Cass even wrong? Because Cass is now wanting to kick it up a notch. Is Cass kind of duping me? So he has to step back on his own and sort of figure out what he thinks their intentions are.
Are we going to see some old faces come back?
We see basically every old face come back.
Okay, so I have a list here that people want to know. Lucifer?
All right. Not yet.
Okay. Adam?
Not yet.
Crowley?
Possibly.
Okay, and Michael?
Well, let me preface this all by saying that we do something that I really enjoy, and we do flashbacks. So if I say that we're going to see them again, it doesn't necessarily mean we're going to see them again in the present,
current story. Okay.
But we do see Crowley, and we do see Michael, and I guess we glimpse Lucifer for a little bit, but I can't say whether it's now.
Okay.
I have a wife and house to pay for. I'm just kidding.
Are we gonna finally see Dean give it to Grandpa?
Yeah, we obviously we get Mitch back, and we love Mitch, and Mitch is such a phenomenal actor, and he does a great part of playing Samuel Campbell and Samuel's motives. But obviously, we now have a huge clash with him, and now obviously the Winchester boys are like, "Hey, this guy has proven on more than one occasion that he's essentially against us, because his purposes kind of clash with ours, and so he's putting himself first, which is kind of he's kind of thrown us to get killed, And so we obviously have a beef to pick with him, and we see both Sam and Dean kind of struggle with what do we do? Do we kill him? He's our grandfather, or is he soulless, or is he possessed like our cousin was? And so, but we do see a big bad clash between not only the boys and Samuel, but Bobby and Rufus, and it's a big Royal Rumble.
Can we talk about Death's deal with Dean and how that's gonna play out and maybe affect the relationship between the brothers?
Sure. You bet there'll be death for a day. Well, I think one of the things that Supernatural has had a lot of fun with over the years, kind of toying with, is what a human being's reaction to, what a fallible human being's reaction to Let me start that again. Too early. I think one of the things that Supernatural has had a lot of fun doing over the past 6 seasons is toying with the idea of what a fallible human being's reaction is to an enormous amount of power.
Yeah.
Both with Sam being given the responsibility and privilege of stopping the apocalypse and having this kind of demonic, bizarre power where he can kill the most powerful demon, to Dean being death for a day, to bringing people back to life and making a deal. So you see this human struggle of, I think a lot of us have unfortunately lost people and been like, man, what I wouldn't give, I'd give 10 years to have this person back, or to stop this, or to reverse time and do this differently. And so you kind of, we just toy with the ideas, but.
Will a higher price be revealed? Will there be a sacrifice that has to be made in exchange?
I think not so far. There's nothing tangible. I think the real price that Dean paid for being death for a day was just that terrible feeling of, well, some that have to go should go. This guy who's robbing a gas station, he's a jerk, but then there's some that are just losing a family member, and it's an accident, and kind of how you deal with that, and then it comes to terms, and the parallel is now in our life, what are Sam and Dean doing, and who are we going to save? And for instance, when we do have a confrontation with Mitch, is it, well, does he deserve to die? Is Death or a Reaper somewhere in this room, and does he deserve to die? Do we deserve to die?
Right.
Bobby, whoever, like what are we really fighting for? What's the purpose? And so I think another thing that Supernatural has done is really given Sam and Dean these high ideals, and then force them to internalize in such a way that's kind of enriched the characters over time.
In many ways, the show deals with quite universal themes, as you just mentioned. A person who is inherently flawed, as all human beings are, dealing with an enormous amount of power. That's sort of a universal struggle in any show. But obviously on Supernatural, it's dealt within the parameters of wars in heaven, death, alliances, all that. Do you feel sometimes ridiculous talking?
Absolutely. I feel like, well, there's this great story. One time it was Jensen's birthday. I remember it was March 1st of season 4. And we were shooting this scene where Sam, he's like, I think he needs more demon power because we're going to get killed. And so he has to. But anyways, while they're setting up this shot, Jensen and I are watching Shawshank Redemption in my trailer. We're like sitting there kind of hanging out, chatting, and Shawshank Redemption is on. And it's the scene where like Tim Robbins comes out and he frees himself from prison, and he's there and he crawls through the sewage and stands up, and then he goes and meets Red on the beach. And we're both sitting there, and it's getting a little dusty in the trailer. And then there's a knock on the door, and it's our first day. I'm sorry, it's the second AD. He's like, "Hey, Jared, we're ready for you on set." I'm like, "All right, I'm coming." And then we kind of looked at each other, and I was like, pointing to Shawshank, and I was like, "And this is the reason why I became an actor. Now, pardon me while I go suck the blood from the neck of a demon." Like, what's going on? So it's absolutely funny, but I think we set out, wonderfully, we kind of knew what we were in store for. I mean, we set out with my girlfriend and mom burning on a ceiling, and a woman in white appearing in a car. So we knew that we were kind of telling it in this fantasy way, but the point is that it deals with universals and archetypes, and like going back to Joseph Campbell mythology, and like the friendly beast, and good versus evil, and wrong versus right, and ultimate power versus ultimate self-sacrifice, and so it's these wonderful high ideals that we get to toy around with and to play with, and to go like, hey, let's do things this way.
Yeah.
And you know what? Let's do a off episode and have fun and like laugh at ourselves. And so it's been this really nice. We're 120, 130 episodes into this saga, and we've gotten a chance to play with a lot of ideas. And as an actor, you know, you put yourself in your character's position. It's the only way you can do what you're required to do. And so I feel like Jens and I have both learned a lot about ourselves by just playing with these ideas. And it's not about, well, when I get possessed by Lucifer someday, like this is what I'll learn from. But you're like, okay, well, let me see what is being Lucifer like? Okay, being Lucifer is an angel cast down. Okay, so it's someone who's dealing with their brother being the family favorite and takes it a self-righteous way. So you kind of just toy with these, and you like, oh, I see how this is wrong, or something else. Oh, I see how this is kind of right, and I see how it feels right to do something for somebody else selflessly, and you know, take one on the chin, but you'll heal and they'll have something better to show for themselves. So it's been a fun ride, but certainly a funny way to. It's funny when I talk to like my wife's parents, or when I meet somebody. Oftentimes I'll be at a bar or a restaurant and someone goes, hey man, I really like your show, can I take a picture? Sure. And you take a picture, and the person next to them is like, who are you? And I'm like, well, I'm an actor. Oh, what do you do? Well, I'm in this show called Supernatural. Oh, what's it about? Well, how much time you got? And so it's a funny it's a funny position to be in, but I feel very blessed.
So I know that you mentioned that you're still shooting, so you're still getting
this morning.
The how the rest of the season is going to unravel.
Yeah.
But is it going to be a cliffhanger situation, or are we going to have a nice, neat arc wrap?
Well, that's. I think I'd love to know the same question. I think a lot of it has to deal with whether or not we find out whether we are not going for another season. As you know, the show's been picked up for 6 years, and we're 4 episodes from being done with 6 years.
Right.
So I have the feeling that that if we don't get the good news, then we'll have to kind of wrap it up. And good luck to the writers trying to wrap up 6 years in a few.
So
episodes.
Obviously you want more. That you feel that there's
I'd
more.
like to see more. Yeah.
Okay.
I mean, I think we're getting to this fun part where we've told a few stories, and we set out to tell this initial arc that kind of took place over 5 years, and we told it and got it done, and now the 6th season kind of started this new arc.
Right.
And I think it's a lot of fun, and I think we're having a great time, and I love the character and learning about myself while playing the character, so I'd like to see it go some more.
And of course, the fans. I mean, the Supernatural fans are so engaged, among the most engaged fan base for television, pop culture, period.
Yeah.
And of course, that's great for you. You have supporters. But in my research for coming to interview you, I hopped online, did some, and as much as they love you, and that's 99% of it, there's some nuts, crazy-ish, crazy
They protect their Winchester boys.
How have you dealt with that? And what are some of the crazy encounters that you've had, or
you know what?
Craziest rumor?
I guess it's all perception. I guess it's what you choose to glean from your experiences. But Jensen and I are actually really in touch with our fans. We don't, neither of us Facebook or Twitter or do anything interactive on a day-to-day basis, but we do these conventions regularly. In fact, I have one in a week in Los Angeles, and we have some in the summer. And so we have this chance to interact one-on-one with the fans, and we do private meet and greets and massive interviews on stage in front of hundreds of people. And it's nice to see this. It really reignites our passion for the project, because it's not like we work so hard up here in Vancouver that we forget sometimes that what you're doing is it's cool, and like it's an inciting conversation and topics and like intense, impassioned arguments and high topic ideals, and you're like, oh wow, and you meet with these people that are watching it from an outsider's perspective, and they ask some brilliant questions and they say some brilliant things, and we kind of look at each other and we're like, dude, I never even thought about that. Like, that's so cool. We'll be on the flight back sometimes and be like, hey, remember when Rachel said this? Or you remember when Becky said that? And you're kind of like, oh, cool. And so that's been really nice. And there haven't been too crazy of situations for me. Luckily, because we're such a cult show, it's not like people just bizarrely come up to me and go like, Justin Bieber, you know, it's like people. Sorry.
Can you please do that again later?
Yes, oh, totally.
And make the hair all.
Justin Bieber, oh my God. Yeah, they don't. There's not some bizarre, wacky like I'm walking around with a folder up above my head, so I can't. Usually, if people know who I am, it's because they know my work, which is brilliant. Like as an actor, that's what you want. I hope that's what you want. I don't want to be like, hey, I'm best abs on television, like I live in the Jersey Shore, like famous to be famous, or famous because you punch a guy at a bar or something. It's like people are like, hey, I just saw this scene, or I just saw like, that's so cool, my wife and I, hey, blah, blah, blah. Like, so what do you think about, you're like, oh wow, like I'm having a conversation with a human being about like my work. Like that's really rare and interesting and cool. And so, so I kind of have this, maybe I'm seeing it through rose-colored glasses, but I have this wonderful view of our fans and the fandom, and they're so intense, and they've kept our show running for 6 years, and so I owe them a lot. But I think they owe me a lot. But it's one of those. It's a nice, even relationship where I get from them what they get from me. So it's been really nice.
Good answer.
All right.
Good answer.
And I love Justin Bieber.
Thanks so much.
Yeah, you bet.
It was great talking to you.
Yeah, you too.